Going up, Jerry, you just said yourself Alabama is an amazing and phenomenal team. So if you're going to play Alabama, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of the Targeting Podcast. Episode, I believe it's 12 or something.
Oh, boy, I don't know.
We're going to just say next episode. Another episode. We got another episode for you.
Good to be back, as always.
Good to be back. Happy New Year, everyone. 2021.
Back, 2021. Thank God 2020 is over.
Hopefully it's a better year, knock on wood. I got John and Justin here with me. Damon could not make it with us tonight, but we're still coming back. We got another episode. We got a decent amount of content to go through this week, but as always, we'll start off with the players of the week. So John, do you want to start us off with your player of the week?
Let me pull up these stats so I don't get it wrong, but it's an easy decision for me.
Okay.
Easy decision for me.
Okay. I'm interested. This was a harder week for me. There wasn't that one guy that's
okay. All right.
See, no, I had to this week I had to go with NFL. Looking at just how well Devonte Adams performed.
Fair enough.
11 receptions, 142 yards. Hold on. 3 touchdowns in a 40-14 win over Tennessee.
Fair enough.
Now, Tennessee is a tough team.
In I believe that game was in the snow as well. It definitely was, actually.
And that was a 43.2 fantasy point for him. So, I took it a little bit. I went NBA last week, so I decided to go with NFL this week. But that was, I was looking at my numbers, and I just went, I don't have to look at the NBA. That's just insane.
I got you all beat, but Justin, you can go.
Yeah, Devonte has been ridiculous, and that Packers team is scary. But I'm going to take it a different direction. I was thinking NFL too, but I'm not going to end up doing NFL. I was thinking Stephon Diggs. Also, he also had 3 touchdowns. But I'm going to the NBA and going with the hometown kid. Jaylen Brown is my player of the week. This guy had a career-high performance, 42 this week. In addition to just all season has been lights out. He's been the best player on the Celtics, undoubtedly. And he's averaging 20. He's averaging 28, 5, and 3 right now.
First in points in the NBA right now, currently.
Yeah. Quit playing with this guy. I mean, he's on some new shit this year, and
first
he's determined he is. That's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, he's averaging 28 right now. Through, I believe, we're 5 games in. We took a tough loss to the Pistons last night. I don't know if either of you saw that. Hate to be losing to the Pistons, but anyways, I'm going with Jaylen Brown. Okay. Career night for him this week, so I'm happy.
That's going to happen, though. We'll get back.
Not to take away from Jaylen Brown, but it was versus the Grizzlies, and they didn't have Ja. So
no doubt. But it was also 42 points in 29 minutes, so it only took him 3 quarters to do it.
Fair enough.
No, you're right, though. You're right.
Fair enough. No, I'm just acknowledging the fact. But my player of the week, I don't personally like this person. Like, they're not my favorite, but I can't not give them the player of the week just because I felt like they had a great performance. And I'm going the college football route with Justin Fields.
I like it.
6 touchdowns, 385 passing yards, and he has 78% completion rate, which is just insane to me. And
you really don't see over 60.
I'm a fan of Clemson. I'm a Clemson boy, but Ohio State played unbelievable. I couldn't Clemson could just not stop them. Justin Fields would just throw long bombs. It wasn't even like charging up the field. It was just quick, long, deep passes. But he did get hit earlier in the game, I believe it was the second quarter, and came back and just played unbelievable. So utmost respect to him. I'm more of a Trevor Lawrence guy, and I like Clemson, but all props to Ohio State during that game because they really showed up. And even though, and this is I won't say it because it's my hot take, but
no, I'm glad you mentioned it. Unbelievable week from him, and watching that game, that was a really fun game to watch, and it really just made me understand how good Justin Fields really is, and he is going to be a top 10 pick in this year's draft, and he deserves it. He is really, really good. His arm is something special. He had a couple of those 50-plus yard passes that were just dimes,
the long balls. Yeah,
man, I'm watching it, and I'm just like, oh my God, he's done it again. You could tell it in when it's still in the air. This is a dime.
hella accurate. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it wasn't even
he played out of his mind.
Up for grabs, but
I hope they can shake up Alabama in the final too.
I
like that Ohio State team.
It's going to be a great matchup. I'm really excited for it. I wanted Bama Clemson, but
I think we all did. But it's also we get that every year. It's nice to have something new.
That's true.
You know what? I didn't want that. I didn't want
You didn't want Clemson?
No, I want Clemson. I want Trevor Lawrence always in. I don't want Bama. I want something new.
Okay. Well, the thing is, Bama just rolled over Notre Dame. Like that was
all right. I have it's not a hot take, but actually I have two kind of what the fuck moments. One's a tiny one for the NFL, but one's just an over the course of history what the fuck moment. So we're gonna get a big. So if you want me to go right into it, I can.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's start with you. Let's start with you. Let's hear it.
All right. So my first little what the fuck moment is Bengals Texans, right? Last week. Big matchup. Bengals still don't have Burrows. They had Brandon Allen and I believe at QB. And Brandon Allen on one of their plays decides to take it. He's running the ball up the field and he just gets piled. He just gets destroyed. He didn't slide. He wasn't going for anything. He was just getting yards and he got tackled. Nothing wrong with that. I think his name is Bobby Hart on the Bengals. Runs over. He's the tackle. Runs over to try and lift up his quarterback. Now, Texans are just surrounding his quarterback. So all he does is he just puts his arm out to push some of the Texans away. Fair be it was a little aggressive, but still, when three guys are standing over your QB, talking shit, you're going to get a little physical. And the Texans just start lashing out and just jumping all over him. For me, that's just so stupid. Anybody who's on top of the QB, the goalie, whoever it is, Justin,
Oh, yeah.
You're never in the right. So just back the fuck off. There's no excuse. He's clearly just trying to help his QB up. And then as he's helping his QB up, these guys come and, come all over him. But
yeah.
Damn. No, I didn't actually see that one, but
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it wasn't a major what the fuck moment, but it still was a little pissed me off.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I'm gonna give you guys a good little history what the fuck moment. So I'm pulling up.
We love Jono history.
So here we go. So I'm going back now to 1995.
Whoa.
1995. Now the discussion of this is how Notre Dame is always such a powerhouse in the season. They're 10-1 this season, right? They have Chase Claypool last season who puts up insane numbers. What was it? 5 touchdowns, whatever.
Yeah.
There is no reason. Okay. LSU was good. Clemson was good. Alabama was good. But there is still no reason why the Notre Dame franchise should be failing this much in bowls repeatedly. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you. 1995 Fiesta Bowl, Colorado versus Notre Dame, 41-24. They lose.
Okay.
1996 Orange Bowl, Florida State to Notre Dame, 31-26. This one, a little tough to talk about because when you do look at the history back here, Notre Dame was leading them earlier on, but yet again, they choke.
Fair enough.
2001 Fiesta Bowl. This one is just absolutely unacceptable. Oregon State, not Oregon, Oregon State, 41-9.
Fair enough.
Jeez.
Still a great football program nonetheless, though.
It's still a great football program, but I'm just getting into my what the fuck here. 2006 Fiesta Bowl, Ohio State 34, Notre Dame.
Sounds like they just got to stop having fiestas.
Yeah, facts.
2007.
How do they keep getting stuck in the goddamn
Sugar
Fiesta
Bowl.
Bowl?
2007 Sugar Bowl, LSU 41, Notre Dame 14. 2013.
Wait, what year was that? You said what year?
2007.
Okay, all right.
2013 BCS National Championship game, Alabama 42, Notre Dame 14.
That was the last time they had a BCS. That was crazy. That was like the bowl.
Yep.
Wait, so who was it again? Sorry, who did you say?
It was, I believe. What did I just say? Alabama versus Notre Dame.
Okay, yeah.
And Notre Dame was the 1 seed. Notre Dame was the 1 seed.
It's because they don't like.
Hold on.
All right.
Hold on.
Okay.
2016 Fiesta Bowl, Ohio State 44, Notre Dame 28. Okay.
So they're
now in
they're
that, the
winless.
Buckeyes, Ezekiel Elliott again.
Wait, so how? Wait, whoa. You're just
Have
you're
they
pointing out
ever won
losses.
one?
How many wins? How many bowl wins do they have?
I can check that, but let me just say.
Check the bowl.
So no
wins.
matter what, clearly they struggle. They have a habit of choking.
Now, I'm not
No
again,
doubt
I'm pointing
about
out the losses. Okay, I'm pointing out the losses. Their bowl record is 18-19. Okay, so it's below 500.
Okay. But
So I'm pointing
18
out,
and 19 isn't something like
it's
that's
nothing
just
crazy.
so horrible.
What I
Crazy
am
bowl record.
saying is that they have had 2 playoff appearances, 2018 and 2020, 2 big ones at least. Their playoff record has been 0-2, and they have been ranked very high for the most part and have had phenomenal seasons, and they choke. Now, I'm not saying that, there obviously are other good teams, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. But what I'm saying is that it seems that they underperform when they're playing such tough teams. Now, I don't know what it is.
I don't think it's necessarily they underperform. I just think they don't, like, especially with the playoffs now, like a lot of those teams aren't facing Bama until the college football playoffs. So like you can't prepare for it because there's nothing like in the ACC at least. Like think about their schedule for this year, right? It was predominantly ACC. So the whole reason they got into that bowl, the playoffs, was because they beat Clemson. And Clemson didn't have Trevor Lawrence that game. So if they didn't win that game, or if Trevor Lawrence wasn't there and they didn't win that game, so nonetheless they lose that game, they wouldn't have made the college football playoffs. So this year
I have nothing against Notre Dame. I have
a ton against Notre Dame. But here's all I'm saying. I'm saying I will give them some credit in the fact that regular season play is a lot different than bowl play.
It is.
In bowl play, you're not necessarily
you're not going to face all the teams that you're going to
you were facing in the regular season.
Now you do have 18 bowls. You'll lose 19, so you're what 0.486, I believe. You do the calculations right there on your your playoff appearances there. Wins. The big one for me though, and I'm just going through all these losses, but the big one for me that really just, I get it though. Again, Jerry, you pointed out an important thing, but 2018 Cotton Bowl, Clemson 30, Notre Dame 3. Trevor Lawrence is sitting on the bench too, the entire fourth quarter for the national. For the national championship, and the Irish are 12-0 that time and secure their first bid.
I just don't think Notre Dame's that good, but they have such a rich program history.
And they get Interesting to me. They do so well to me, the way they're looking is they look like the Steelers right now. They play so well.
Well, here's the thing:
regular season, and then they're going to end up just falling off to better teams.
Was anybody thinking they were going to win this game? I get that they lose a lot, but I don't know. I wouldn't.
I'm not saying I thought they were going to win.
Call it choking.
I'm not saying I just don't think that. But I thought that they were going to do better.
They didn't have the facilities to beat.
I thought they were going to do better. Now, I'm not saying I think Alabama was clearly going to be the winner. I think Las Vegas and everyone betting on it was going to say Alabama, but I don't think the spread on that was going to be. I think it was going to be high, but I didn't think it was going to be as high as I originally thought. I think someone told me it was going to be a 19-point spread. A 19-point spread.
Is that what the spread was?
Because Bama's filthy.
It was a 19-point spread, I believe.
I'll check
it was double digits. I remember that. My uncle said it, and I shit the bed laughing because I thought he was joking.
Wow. Bama is that good, but that's crazy. 19-point spread in a college football playoff game. That's wild.
The point I'm getting to is Bama is very consistent year in and year out. Year in and year out, Bama is very consistent. But I just feel that Notre Dame always tends to come up out of nowhere and make those appearances, but they always fall off. And you know what?
I think it's because they have like a rich program history, and as long as they get to a certain record, nonetheless they're gonna.
Again, they always have a winning record.
And ACC historically football at least is not that good. I mean, like Clemson is
no doubt.
Yeah. So there are definitely their reasons, but that's just kind of my what the fuck. Just looking at it on a purely just.
No, that's a good one.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying no one thought they were gonna win.
Oh no, I know. But let's go into – let's just take this just leaning in now. That Alabama game, we all know was going to happen. It was going to happen, that outcome. We know Alabama was probably going to make it. But now we come into the Ohio State versus Clemson game.
Yeah.
What a game. What a game.
Let's talk about that for like a little bit. So I was shocked personally. I was stunned. I was just like –
I was not as shocked as you would – like I think it was going to be – look, I think it was what I originally thought going in there was it's going to be Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Fields is going to have to pull his weight and pull his ass to try and get his offense to work against that Clemson defense. And I thought that Trevor Lawrence was just going to pound the house And then all of a sudden, I think it was going to be a Clemson win, but I thought Ohio was going to.
Let me give my hot take, though, because my hot take does have to do with this. And you guys may not be totally familiar with this, so you can just agree or disagree to it. So Ohio State going in was 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson was 10-1. A lot of teams played 11 games. Ohio State did not, because they have been.
There's a lot of controversy over whether
they've been dealing with COVID protocols the entire season.
A lot of controversy.
Yeah, some of our friends go there. So anyway, they were only 6-0, so they did not play an entire schedule. A lot of people questioned whether they should be there. Personally, after tonight, it's easy to, after last night, it's easy to say personally, like, oh yeah, they should have been there. They beat Clemson. Clemson's a freaking number two team, second team in the country. Before that game, though, I don't think they should have been there personally. If you don't play a full schedule and it's like pretty in your control whether you do play a full schedule, like they could have played with less guys. I'm not sure the entire situation, but I don't think they were like missing all their players, at least from what I've heard. I got to redo my reading on that. But I personally don't think they should have been in the playoffs because they did not play a full 11 games.
All right.
I think that's not. I don't think it's fair to disqualify them.
Yeah. Can I add
because they didn't get to play a full season? It's not their fault. You can't win the games you don't play. And did you see that the Clemson, one of the Clemson coaches or something, had said that they believed Ohio State should have been ranked 11.
11, yeah.
Right, the 11th seed, and then they threw that in their face after they ended up winning. But I'm actually glad that Ohio State was in there. I don't think it's fair to disqualify a team because they didn't get to play as many games as another team. Ohio State clearly had the talent. Justin Fields was a guy that we all wanted to see in the college football playoff, and I'm glad we got to because clearly he deserved to be there. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not a Clemson guy. At the end of the day, I am if it comes over Alabama, but I'm not a Clemson guy. In this situation, I'm rooting for Ohio State. I always root for the underdog, and especially when I have no allegiance to the team. Now,
I don't.
Jerry, let me say.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna read down right now to tell you right now. So, if Ohio State, if we're disqualifying them, right, because they didn't play 11-game season, because you said that a team that only completes the 11-game season should play. All right, so I'm gonna tell you right now. Then Notre Dame and Texas A&M would all move up, but Texas A&M only played 9 games. Oklahoma University only played 10 games. Florida State was the only other team to play 11 games, and they're 7th seed. Cincinnati played 9.
But what was Alabama?
Georgia played 9. Georgia played 9. Iowa State played 11. And then we have Indiana played 7. And then what the hell is this team right here?
How many did Bama play?
Coastal Carolina played 11, and they went 11-0.
Yeah, but
the only team that would have gone Coastal
team.
Carolina's record would then have put them in the playoff contending spot.
Oh, wait, wouldn't have.
In the system that you just said, they would have moved them up because all the other teams clearly didn't make 11.
I mean, the mere fact that there's such a variation of numbers of games teams played 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like every 6.
Right.
You just can't make it about that. It was a COVID year. It's about these teams. You can't just go off of how many games they played total because every single team played a different amount of games almost.
And I guess my point here is, again, we can read off all these. I have literally the top 25 teams up here right now. We can read off all of them. Oregon State only played 6. I can read off all these teams. Oregon, not Oregon State. Half these teams on this list, more than half. Looking at this right now, there are probably 10 teams out of the 25 that played even close to 11 games or 11 games. So, Jerry, I'm not, attacking your what the fuck. Not what the fuck. Your hot take. I understand what your hot take is, but me personally, especially with a team like Ohio State, okay, who's a team that consistently does pretty well as a team.
Yeah.
They have a shit year, okay, with everything that's going on. And fortunately enough, Alabama and Clemson, they still had higher numbers for COVID, but their team survived. And they can play the 11-game season. Ohio State, their facilities talked about it, and they didn't allow them to. That's unfortunate for the team. But at the end of the day, I don't think that should affect your playoff chances because you went 6-0, and you still played 6 tough teams. And I think a couple of them are still on this top 25. And no, let me just say, I know what you're saying. And I understand.
Yeah, that's fine. We disagree. I'm just saying. I don't necessarily agree with Dabo on that they should have been 11. I'm not saying I agree with that statement because that's just a number you're throwing out there. But personally, the teams they faced were they weren't the greatest teams. Like if they beat a good team, not
they beat Nebraska, they beat Penn State,
they
Rutgers,
beat
Indiana ranked 11, Northwestern ranked 14.
Northwestern was ranked 14, and Indiana was ranked 9. So those were their 2 big wins.
11.
Okay, fine. The rest were just they weren't ranked. The teams weren't ranked. It was and Penn State. That's it. And
I think no doubt there was probably a little bit of bias involved. I mean, I think.
All right, so Jerry,
I don't think it's any big secret.
Alabama,
all I'm saying is, I
have to just shut him the fuck up. Listen to this, Jerry. Alabama played Missouri unranked. They played Texas A&M, who was ranked. They played
Alabama's such a different
unranked. They played Georgia, who was ranked.
Alabama's such a different,
who was unranked. Tennessee, who was unranked. Kentucky, who was unranked. Auburn, who was unranked. Arkansas, who was unranked.
Alabama's such,
and LSU, who was unranked. Who all had
Alabama's such a different team. They're obviously
so listen to me. Ohio State still kicked all their asses. At the end of the day, Ohio State may not have been deserving of the 3 seed, but they deserve to make the playoffs based on the record that they had.
Alabama, okay, John, gets the top recruits in the country. Okay.
But Ohio State does too.
Yeah, Ohio State.
I don't think it's any secret.
Ohio State is bums every year. All of you should know that.
But
they only get in, but they never show up. That's why.
But because of the name of the school being Ohio State, they get a certain respect that other teams don't automatically get, and they automatically are in consideration because there's no big secret that the whole world wanted to see Ohio State in the college football playoff. If Coastal Carolina can have 4 11-0 seasons in a row and never make a college football playoff, it's just different because this is the Ohio State and not Coastal Carolina. It's more like an Alabama.
Never going to make it.
This brings up another point then.
There's some bias.
Can I just say one quick thing, Richard? You just said Ohio State never shows up. So I understand that they may not have won a championship in a long time, but let me just list off a couple players from Ohio State that have absolutely dominated.
They're like Notre Dame.
Chase Young, Joey Bosa, Michael Thomas.
No, I'm not saying they don't get good players.
Elliott. So don't even tell me that they don't show up. These guys have showed up multiple times for those teams.
I'm not saying they don't get good players. I never said they didn't get good players. I said they don't show up. And it's true.
I don't want it. Doesn't know it. That doesn't matter though.
Look,
that doesn't matter.
Here's going up, Jerry. You just said yourself, Alabama is an amazing and phenomenal team. So if you're going to play Alabama, you're going to get your ass kicked almost.
Here's all I'm saying. Here's all I'm saying. In college football, at least, it's disappointing how a team like Coastal Carolina can have an undefeated season and not even be considered. Like they were never even considered.
Oh, never.
For a college football playoff game.
Clearly not because
wait a minute. At least with college basketball, you can go undefeated and make the tournament and make a run at the championship. But there is no hope for you in the college football playoff, the system that it is, if you are a lower to no name school. There's always going to be a top 10 teams.
I will say
bigger schools that are going to compete in the college football playoffs. It's just sad to see. Don't get me wrong. I don't give a fuck about Coastal Carolina. But it's disappointing to see, if you were going there, if you were going to that school, it's disappointing to see your football team go literally undefeated. And they didn't have the greatest schedule in the world. I'm going to be the first to admit that. But they did beat some okay teams here and there.
Yeah, so no doubt.
They went undefeated, and they still have no freaking chance in the world. They weren't even considered. Not even 4 or 5.
Jerry, I will say this. I think it is unfair that teams like that are not considered and that there's not a system. I personally, if the college football would want to, the NCAAF would want to put in a system more like what they have for March Madness and things like that, so that you have teams that make it that should never even make it. And then they have upsets like against Virginia. Sorry to bring that up and piss your pants. But they should have a system that's better because I'll be honest with you. I do think it is unfortunate for a lot of these teams. I look on this, BYU 10-1. Again, some of these teams did really good and had great seasons, but they didn't even get a look, and they got so far down. I mean, Coastal Carolina is below Indiana, Iowa, Georgia, Cincinnati. Again, those are phenomenal teams, and they have great systems, and they would have probably gotten their asses handed to them. Again, it's a little upsetting to see. I do agree with you.
Well, I know why it is. I know why they do it. It's because if they add any more teams, they're going to have to start paying players, which is like another like big issue.
Well, that's a whole debate.
Well, I think for the reason you just said it yourself a few minutes ago. You said Alabama is a completely different team. That's different. It's Alabama. Just even by admitting that, you understand that certain teams get special treatment that other teams don't get, and that is why Ohio State got in, and it's why Alabama and Clemson will always get in, even if they were to lose more than one game. I bet Clemson would have found its way in. And
Coastal Carolina just doesn't have the money.
And it's also different. You brought up college basketball. It's different because 64 teams make a college basketball bracket, whereas only 4 make it in college football. If only 4 made it in basketball, you best believe it'd be Duke and Kansas and Kentucky. It wouldn't be any minor schools that would squeak through in March Madness, because that's a way bigger bracket. This isn't like that. You have to give it would never not be the top name schools if it was only 4 teams in basketball. Just like the same thing. I will
agree with Jerry that I would like to see it more than just 4 teams making
at least like, again, I can't speak because I'm not a college athlete, but if I was a college football player and I was D1, I would want to play for a chip.
I'd like to see 12. I'd like to see the top 12 teams make it.
I would want to play for a chip. So
at the end of the day, chances are you can't play for a chip unless you're a 5-star recruit that goes to a school that plays for chips. Well, then not every school does.
Well, then, okay, Justin, if you said that, then no one will go to any of these schools. Like that.
That's not true though, because there's other smaller things that you can win. Like you just said, there are plenty of bowl games. There's other reasons to play. As far as winning a championship goes, if you're not a 5-star recruit going to a 5-star school, you're not gonna be playing for a championship.
Because not
everyone can go to a 5-star school.
There's also interdivision
if you're not a 5-star player, you can't go to Alabama.
Well, so
that's why they don't. You want to play D1 football and you're not good enough to play at Alabama, you go play somewhere else.
Okay, fine. But I'm just saying. Here's what you will see every year. You'll see Clemson there every year. You'll see Alabama there every single year.
Jerry,
you want to see that? You want to see that?
How long have we been seeing it? It's not going to change.
Look. I think we're all in agreement here that we would love to see a change to the playoff system and maybe have 8 teams in the bracket or 12 teams in the bracket. I think
be cool.
I'm just saying,
it would be cool. But as far as just being realistic, it isn't going to change.
See Alabama there
change because
every year. You're going to see Ohio State there.
Look, Jerry, the thing that I'm going to say to you is this. You ready? We just said it. Players that can't make it to Bama. This is all. We're going to leave it on this, okay? Because players that don't make it to Bama and don't make, if you don't make it to Bama or you're Clemson or any of those top teams, then all the teams at that tier won't accept you. Once a couple teams already deny you, most of them are not going to accept you if you're not at that level, because they're all looking for the same level of player. So then you go down to the next level. You might go to Indiana, Iowa, something like that.
I'm not saying there's other options for you as a player. I'm totally ditching my player argument.
All I'm saying is that those players, though, they try to be 5-star recruits and get that chip. But unfortunately, that chip is given to only 4 teams to a chance in that season. And so what happens is a lot of times you see players go to smaller teams, like Georgia or something like that, and they have phenomenal seasons. And sometimes they leave and transfer to schools like Alabama and play for them.
All right, fine. Ditching my player argument. I'm just saying, as a fan of college football, I'm not sure how much you guys follow it, but I'm a fan. You will see Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia, those teams every single year.
Most likely, yeah.
That I would like
for the next, unless they allow more teams in, or there's this just mind shift of what's a good college football team, you'll never see anybody else in the college football playoffs.
I will say to you this: I think it's pretty pointless.
It's a tough thing that
I think it's pretty pointless ranking 25 teams and not even letting 12 of them in. If we're gonna have 4, then just rank the top 10, because you're not gonna decide from any teams below 10.
Here's my proposition: make it 8. Get 2 wild card spots.
I think it should be 8. Well, no, because then you need to deal with teams getting buys. You just make it 8 and make it those extra rounds.
You don't want to make it harder for yourself, Jerry. Just make
one plays 8. One plays 8.
The problem is I think the problem is if they do something like that, then it's going to be more of a business, and they're going to have to start I said it before.
Well, I don't know. I know. I mean, that's tricky to talk.
They're lucky they're getting away with this now. Do you know how many people watch the call? I don't know. That's that off the top of my head, so I won't even say it. But
I don't either. But I know a lot. I know it makes them a lot of money, but that's been an issue for a long time. So
I'm just saying that's probably one of the reasons why they're not.
No, it's a good argument, man. It's a good point. I think we should probably move on, but it is a great point.
But I do agree with you.
I agree with you. I would be cool to see new teams, but I understand why we don't. I understand.
But I am not going to say that Ohio State is undeserving of this season. I'm not going to say that because that's not true for me. Ohio State is deserving of the spot they got. They are deserving of getting in.
I agree.
All right, we'll go with Justice out of the week.
Okay, sure. All right, yeah. So basically, this is just kind of like a crazy comparison of stats. So Steph Curry, obviously, is known by most as the greatest shooter of all time, and his career 3-point percentage is 43.4%. And so on a completely different note, Tom Brady has been in the league for 20 years and has been to 9 Super Bowls, which that percentage is 45%. So Tom Brady has a higher chance of making a Super Bowl than the greatest shooter of all time has of making a 3-pointer, which is just fucking wild to think about.
Wait, say that. So Tom Brady's
percentage of going to a Super Bowl in his career of 20 seasons. He's 9 for 20. Is 45%.
Okay.
Steph Curry's career average is 43%. So Tom Brady has a higher chance of going to a Super Bowl than the greatest shooter ever does of just making a shot, which is crazy. Just making a 3, which is crazy.
Did you see him make like threes for 5 minutes? Did you watch that video?
Yeah, 105 threes straight.
Did you watch the whole video?
Oh yeah, dude. It was just mesmerizing. I could watch it all day.
I could watch it all day.
It's so incredible, dude. He's just ridiculous.
And you tell me that's 44%
Steve Kerr said about that?
That's insane. He's like,
Steve Kerr was like,
Steve Kerr was like, I'm so disappointed in him. You know, he just couldn't make that 106. Like he chokes. That's just what he does. It's hilarious.
I was watching that video, just amazed. Like,
man,
it's so fluid. It's so automatic. But that is a crazy stat, Justin. We can talk about the NFL a little bit. Like.
We definitely need to talk about the NFL.
Yeah, I have a playoff picture up here right now, so we can.
Yeah, I have it up too.
That. So
right now, you want to start? Do you want to say something about Tampa, Jerry?
No, I was just saying, like, I don't know, like I had them at least in the beginning of this year. Like, I mean, I think we might have all had them like high, like favorites. Like, obviously the Chiefs were probably one of our favorites, but like in terms of Super Bowl contentions, now. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Tom can try to make a run for it, but that was just
I'm looking at that NFC. I'll tell you what, I like Green Bay and I like seeing New Orleans rather. I like New Orleans and Green Bay better than Tampa, I think, to reach the Super Bowl.
Let's just say right now, we'll go to the AFC after because that's going to be a hot debate that we're going to have for probably a solid 20 minutes right there. But NFC, we're looking at that. Packers got the 1 spot. You know, they're pulling ahead with that 1 spot right now. And honestly, that's still up for debates now because the Saints are only 11-4. They're hot on
if the Packers were to lose and the Saints were to win this week, I believe the Saints would snag that 1 spot.
They'll snag that 1 spot. But here's the thing. You know, Tampa did beat the Packers. They did smack them. But the Saints did beat the Tampa twice. They beat them twice. First time they beat them, it was a little tough for Tom. Tom was just getting in the system. Second time,
they kind of killed them both times.
Second time though is no excuse for Tom. He got whooped.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at anything, I'm concerned about playing the Packers because you got Devonte, you got Aaron.
I think the Packers are the best team in the NFC.
But I just when you look at these teams that Tom has to go up against, the caliber that he's going up against is, in my opinion, higher tier than when he had to deal with in the AFC. Now in the AFC, he had to go against the Chiefs. That was no doubt. But getting to the Chiefs was a little easier than playing the Chiefs. Getting to the finals right now is going to be harder than even like reaching the Super Bowl. His chances of reaching the Super Bowl are so low.
He has the hardest road.
He has the hardest road because he has to play. Again, we don't know yet, but he'll have to play one of the teams. He'll play Seahawks, Saints, Packers. He'll have to play. You even have the Bears, the Cardinals, who are in the hunt. All those teams, even the Cardinals, 8-7, are a phenomenal team that could absolutely whoop Tampa if they had it in their hearts.
But do you think Tom's Bucks are more of like a playoff team? Like we've seen that before, where like
I definitely think that they are going to be a tough out in the playoffs. We're talking about a one and done game, winner takes all, where Tom Brady is your quarterback with just a limitless, limitless weapons on offense. I think that's going to be a hard team to beat, no doubt.
This is another thing where you got to take in a picture, Justin. It's Tom Brady, who's made, what did Jerry just say? 9 Super Bowl appearances out of 20 every season. Or you said 9 out of 20. He's made 9 out of 20. So he's been in 9 Super Bowls. Arguably more Super Bowls than any other quarterback has even seen or possibly imagined in his head, in his daydreams. So 9 Super Bowls. This guy has consistently held, what was it, 11 straight seasons of the AFC?
Yeah. I believe it was 11.
Okay. So, I don't care. Tom Brady knows better than anyone right now. And now he's in the caliber where he's got to play Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, who are 2 other guys that are ranked up there with him that aren't playing too much longer. These guys know, but Tom especially, that when you reach the playoffs, as long as you make it, your record doesn't mean anything. Your record doesn't mean anything. Whatever team you play them like any other team. You don't treat them any differently, and you just beat them. You take the system that they give you, and you throw it back in their face, and you beat them, and you move on to the next team. And Tom is the one quarterback I think that could do it with the team he has and where he is ranked right now. He's got the 5th seed. He's 10-5. He's not ranked that high above the other guys. So he has a tough road. But I think if any quarterback can do it, Tom can. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to be more mental toughness than he's ever seen. And he's got to make sure he doesn't let those demons from his season prior, especially against the Saints, getting whooped like that. He can't let that shit get to him. Yeah. And I'm going to say real quick, I have a hot take. It's not really a hot take, but I don't think that Bruce Arians and Tom Brady are going to be able to survive.
I agree with that. I don't think Arians.
So what I think right now is I think Bruce Arians, depending on how bad they do in the playoffs, it's either Bruce Arians is gone in the next season or 2, depending on how long Tom's going to stay in Tampa, or Tom is shifting teams or retiring early.
Do you think Bruce Arians is the problem?
I think Bruce Arians.
I sort of do. Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I'm not going to get too off topic, but when Bruce Arians steps up to that thing, there are so many games that you see interviews and Belichick, and they say, was it Tom's fault that you guys lost the game? And Bill just goes, "We're on to New Orleans. We're on to Cincinnati." Arians
tries to blame it all on Tom.
Bruce said he's getting old. He literally said he's getting old. He knew it wasn't He knew it wasn't 3rd down. He knew it was 4th down. He's just been struggling this season with passing. If your coach doesn't trust your ability to play out there, how can you trust him to coach you and give you the right plays? I think there's a problem because Tom knows what play to call, and it seems like Bruce wants to call another thing. And it seems that whenever Tom and Bruce argue over what play to call, the players don't know what play to do. And then Tom always makes the mistake, and some guy, instead of cutting out, he cuts in, and Tom misses the throw. It happens all day in and day out.
Well, they're just not on the same page with each other either. Like, I've even seen, like, he tried to say, like, that Tom Brady had nothing to do with signing Antonio Brown. That was all him. He just did it all on his own. It's like, that's just so not true. Obviously, Tom Brady played a huge role in bringing in Antonio Brown because Antonio Brown is living in Tom Brady's house and is the only – at the beginning of the year, you're the one that said we have no interest in him, and clearly Tom Brady convinced you to sign him. So what are you even saying that Tom had nothing to do with it? Why? Like, even the fact that they're not on the same page about stuff like that is just throws me off. You have to have a good relationship with your quarterback and your head coach, and it doesn't seem like that is a healthy one.
I just feel like Bruce is not a playoff coach. He's not a playoff coach.
Yeah, I just don't think he's used to
all the talent he has. I mean, he's got.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's had what James Winston, a
lot of mouths to feed.
Honestly, you gotta as a coach, Bruce Arians. I'm sorry, but as a coach that has had a very unsuccessful career and never won a Super Bowl, you need to shut up. You need to let the guy who's made it to the Super Bowl.
A little bit power hungry. It's coming a lot.
You need your quarterback who's been to the Super Bowls and is almost he's older than you in experience.
You literally just received probably the greatest quarterback of all time, along with endless amount of weapons on that team, both on the offensive side and defensive side.
I don't know how they have the cap space for all those guys.
And now you're like, I think it's almost like he has everything to lose because he literally has the entire world at his hands.
I think honestly, I think they're going to be quicker to release Bruce Arians and bring up, who do they have? Todd Bowles on offense or whatever. I don't even know who they have. Or maybe that's Casey. I'm getting mixed up, but
I'm not sure.
But I trust, honestly, I think, though, my hot take, taking it from Jerry, is going to be that Bruce Arians, if this team absolutely, they got to absolutely blow it. And if they don't blow it, then there's going to definitely be some management changes, I think, in the system. But if they blow it like bad with the team they have, and you can't guarantee they'll have every player on that team the next season. If they blow it,
I think Tom probably.
I think Bruce is out or Tom is out.
Tom's not. There's no way Tom.
I don't think Tom is. I'm not saying Tom is out. I'd have to say there'd have to be
Bruce,
a lot.
I think
the management would have to say no. We're behind Bruce, and then Tom would be throwing fits. But I think Bruce.
They would never say that.
Coaches. No, I know. I'm saying. I know they're not. But what I'm saying is, I honestly, personally, am voting for Bruce to go. I don't think that Bruce is the right.
They would never. I would never vote for Bruce. Like, I don't think anyone in their right mind, unless they were.
Bruce should go, and I think you should have the offensive coordinator take over, and Brady will control that offense, and you just got to worry about your defense. That's it.
Yeah.
Brady coached our offense, and Belichick just helped give him the pieces that he needed, and just gave him the better coaching that he needed sometimes. Bruce seems to only take away from Tom's ability to coach.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Tom has not been a coach this season.
Yeah,
he's been another regular quarterback, just throwing the ball.
No, you got to let Tom be a leader. Like, the best thing Bruce can do is do less.
So really. I think my point here is just, if in the end, if Tampa, and this leads into the hot take, in the playoffs, if Tampa wants to win, Tampa will win. But the key thing here is that Tom needs to be the leader, and it's not Tom's fault. And I hate when, again, in the beginning I blamed it on Tom, but more and more when I watched press conferences and saw the games, it's not Tom. Okay? When Tom's out there, Tom is playing the game that he should. He's throwing the passes he should. He's making the plays that he should. But when you have a coach that's, not with you and not trusting of you to make the right call, you really can't do much with the players that you have. You look at Mahomes and Andy Reid. They trust each other. Mahomes literally will make the play, and Andy Reid knows that.
Yeah, and it's so important. All the top teams have relationships like that. It's so important. So, yeah, they're going to have to. So I think that's the struggle here for Tampa. It could cause some problems. As far as the NFC bubble goes, it's the Bears or the Cardinals are going to get that last spot, whereas the AFC is much more competitive. It's going to be. It looks like the Rams are probably in, and the Bears or the Cardinals. Well, I guess actually the Rams could still fall out hypothetically, and actually the whole Washington, Dallas, and the Giants. That whole needs to be figured out, even though they're all losing teams. But
here's the thing: if the Cardinals beat the Rams, they go 9-7, and the Rams go 9-7. But the Cardinals did just beat the Rams, so I think depending on the record the Cardinals have, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think the Cardinals actually have beat the Rams twice.
I don't know for sure, but I definitely.
I don't know for sure. But if they did beat the Rams twice, then the Cardinals take that spot, and the Rams.
All I know is of all these teams that are in the hunt are on the bubble. Arizona is by far the most exciting, and I really hope that they get a spot. One of these last 5, 6, 7 spots. Because I hope they deserve it, and it would be tragic to see them fall out of it and see the Bears are good. I like to see Mitch Trubisky making another run at being a quarterback in the league. So
let me tell you right now, the Rams there is no reason why Washington football team should even be in the hunt. They should not be the 4 seed. And I'm just gonna say it right off the bat. Goodell, you suck. I hope you suck 50 dicks and you get cum all in your eyes and you die from AIDS. Okay? Because listen to me. I'm sorry to all the children out there, but fuck you. All right? Fuck you. Because Washington football team, who is 6-9, should not be over. You should have the Rams, Bears, and the Cardinals all making it. Making it.
Yeah, it
I'm
does.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put myself on the reins now, but that is just fucking absurd.
It is absurd. We've talked about it before. We've talked about that before on this podcast, even. But yeah, no, it's obviously unfortunate. You'd think that they might try to work around it, especially if this were to happen like next year again or something, or just multiple years in a row. I think that they'd have no choice but to work around it. But this has been the format for so long. It feels like it'd be hard to stray away from it now, but it does suck. It's very unfortunate because none of those teams are deserving, really. And like you said, one of the Rams, Bears, and Cards are going to miss, and all 3 of those teams are better than anyone in that division. So
honestly, I think it's probably going to be the Bears, assuming the Cardinals beat the Rams, because if
the Bears and Cards both win, the Bears get in and the Cards miss. So the Cards have to rely on some losses around the league.
Well, the Cards are going to need the Bears to lose to the Packers, which might happen.
Yeah,
and the Cards will have to win. So if the Cards win and the Bears lose, then the Cards are in.
Actually, the Cards are playing the Rams
Right.
So they couldn't have beat them twice because you only play twice. So they're playing them. That's like crazy. That's a huge game.
No, I'm saying
Wow.
they would, if they did beat them this time, they would have beat them twice, I believe.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
So, but if
Yep,
the Bears
you're right.
lose if the Bears lose and the Cardinals win, it doesn't, they're fine. The
Yeah.
Rams will still be fine too. Actually, no, maybe not. I don't think so.
Well,
No.
I want to definitely talk about the AFC.
Why don't we-
we can move over to the AFC.
hunt is crazy. And let me pose the question to you this way about the AFC hunt.
I can
So
tell you already
who
what
is-
I think.
Let me ask you this. Who's it more important for to make a playoff appearance this season? Lamar Jackson or Baker Mayfield? Who's it more important for in their career? Who would it do worse for if they were to miss? Because one of these teams probably is going to miss.
I don't like Baker. And
Probably,
I honestly don't think
probably.
Baker. You can go. I would say Lamar. But
Yeah, you go. Go ahead.
I would
say
say
Lamar?
Lamar. I think Lamar
I
has
said
more
Lamar.
potential. I'd say Lamar has more potential than Baker, but I think
No,
that,
I'm not saying who has more potential of winning a playoff game if they get in. I'm saying as far as the narrative on their careers go.
No, I'm
Lamar.
saying their
Who is the more-
career.
okay,
They have
all
more
right,
potential for their
Lamar.
career.
Okay,
Lamar.
gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
Lamar.
Yeah. I think Baker
Because
is
Go
just.
ahead, John.
I think Baker just has had a pretty rough career. He got the short end of the stick when he went to the Browns, like any player when you go to a bad team. Joe Burrow's in that situation with the Bengals, and Lamar has got a perfect scenario right now in the Ravens. He had a great season last season. He should have. You wish the Ravens had done better with what they had with that tight end, trio they had, Hurst and everyone, and Doyle, and you want to see them make it. I think the Ravens definitely need Lamar to perform because it seems like he's fallen off a little bit this season. They're 10-5. They should have been a lot higher, in my opinion. They played tough teams. They had a tough schedule for sure, but they just seem to have fallen off a little bit. Just a tiny bit for me because coming off of a strong season last season,
Personally, and then I'll get Justin's answer after this. Personally, it feels like Baker Mayfield almost, even if they miss and he loses, it feels like they got to 500. They got well over 500. So I think personally for him, it win or not win, it would be pretty disappointing if they didn't make the playoffs. But even if they don't win, I would say in terms of Browns fans at least, it's probably still considered not a majorly successful season, but a successful season nonetheless. Whereas Lamar Jackson has been given multiple tries at this, and it just feels like if he lost now, then his career would, in my perspective, down spiral from there. But Justin, what's your point of view?
I mean, it's definitely it could go either way. There's no wrong answer. That's for damn sure. I think personally, I got to go with Baker because Lamar was in the playoffs last year. They had that 14-2 season last year. Lamar has been known around the league at this moment as a winner. That team is riddled with injuries, especially the defense. They're riddled with injuries with Peters and Humphreys all out in the secondary. They're having a tough season. They got to 10 wins, which is big for them. And Lamar, like I said, he was an MVP and in the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
Baker Mayfield has been watching the last 3 playoffs from home on his goddamn couch. And how many times you look at that Cleveland Browns roster, and that's a playoff caliber roster. You got a lot of weapons on that team too. And what is the narrative on Baker Mayfield going into this offseason, knowing that here we went another year? It's nice we got to 10 wins. That's more wins than the last several seasons combined. But which is definitely an upgrade to get to 10 wins. But how many years in a row are we going to keep missing the playoffs? But
yeah. So you're saying
I understand. I think that both, no matter what, I do think that going into the offseason, whichever of these teams make it or miss, I think that both teams understand we have our guy. I don't think either of these guys are on their last shot. I think even if Baker and them do miss, Baker will be the starting quarterback next year. You did get to 10 wins. He did look pretty good. I think they understand this is our guy. He's not going to be Patrick Mahomes, but we don't need him to be that. And Lamar Jackson, I think the same. I think that they're going to, no matter what, even if they miss, they're obviously going to stick with Lamar Jackson. He was an MVP 1 year ago. It is interesting to think about. And there's 5 10-5 teams in the AFC, and one of them has to miss.
I don't think the Browns or Ravens will miss, in my opinion.
You go ahead, Jerry.
You think they both make it?
I think they might.
There's a world where they both make it.
Well, yeah. So here's what I'm saying. I personally don't see them beating the Steelers. I'm not the biggest fan of the Steelers, but personally,
Steelers are resting everyone.
Oh, they are?
Everyone. Yeah. So it's Mason Rudolph playing Q. They're resting multiple guys. I think they're resting
let's say the
TJ
Browns,
Watt.
let's say the Browns beat the Steelers. What does that do? If the Browns beat the Steelers, they make it?
I don't think it locks them in because there's 5, 10, and 5 teams. There's a lot of variables.
All right, well, here's what I think is going to happen
with all 5 of these teams.
Can I go through what I think is going to happen?
Go ahead.
All right, well, since you said they're benching him, I think the likelihood of the Steelers losing is a lot higher now. Because especially, you look at the way they perform.
Well, they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I know they don't care. So I just think the likelihood of the Browns winning is a lot higher. So that helps their chances.
Yeah.
But what they have to rely on now is chance with other teams. I think Titans versus Texans. I think Titans obviously are going to win that. So I'm locking Titans in for going to the playoffs.
Okay.
I believe it's.
I think Dolphins are going to lose. I think Dolphins will lose to the Bills. And
I agree with that.
I don't think the Dolphins will make it. I also don't think the Dolphins are a 10-5 team. I think they got a little lucky with some of their games this season. I think they're more of an 8-8. I don't think they're a 10-6 because I think they're going to lose. I think they're more of an 8-8. But I will give it that they've had one of the better seasons that they've had. But I think they're not going to make it. The Ravens have to beat the Bengals. Like, this is the thing for me with Lamar. If Lamar loses to the Bengals in this clutch moment right now where he has a chance to make the playoffs. If he makes this, he nearly solidifies it for him because the Dolphins are probably going to lose. Again, you can't leave that up to – you have to leave that up. You have to assume that, but you can't, wish on it. But I think the Dolphins will lose. I think the Titans will win. I think the Ravens will win, knocking on wood that they perform and they don't pull like the Steelers. And I think the Browns will win if the Steelers are going to perform like they have and they don't have everyone in. And here's the interesting thing.
What about the Colts?
I think the Colts will win.
Colts have the easiest matchup of all with the Jags.
So here, let me say this right now. I think the Dolphins are the one team that's going to miss it. But the tough thing now is that you're going to have to decide. All you're doing now is the Dolphins are going to go where the Colts are, and the Colts are going to go up where the Dolphins are. So now we have to talk about. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that's going to be a pretty, for the most part, the predictions are pretty in that favor of that outcome. So now we have to talk about is how does that work? Like the Colts, we have to look now at what teams they've played. I think it's based off of what teams you've played in.
Well, no. If 4 out of 5 teams win and one team loses, the one team that loses is out.
And the other 4 make it?
Because they're all tied on this with the same record. Where it gets tricky with tiebreakers is if multiple teams lose, because only one team misses of the 5.
Right.
So if multiple teams lose, there are multiple 10-6 teams.
So
they'll have to deal with tiebreaks. But if 4 of them go to 11-5 and one of them stays at one of them goes to 10-6, that's it. The 10-6 team misses.
I honestly think it'll be. I think Dolphins. I mean, you're just playing such a phenomenal Bills team. I think that's a pretty, they're a
tough game. It's going
to be a tough game. So I think, again, I'm not saying, I think they're 100% going to lose. I think the likelihood of them losing is much higher, though. When you look at the Titans, though, the Titans play the Texans. Now, the Texans, again, I love Deshaun, but the Titans just have Derrick Henry. They're going to pound that defense, even with J.J. Watt. The Texans are just a team that's just been battered, defeated this whole season. They've gone to 4-11. They're probably going to end up going 4-12. I think the Titans are no doubt going to hopefully win that. I think the Ravens will win their game. I mean, the Bengals, 4-10-1. There's no reason that Lamar shouldn't show up to that game and play phenomenal. And I think the Browns, there should be no reason. Yep. Even with the Steelers' whole entire team out there should be no reason why the Browns don't come out to play the best fucking football they have. We saw them play against the Ravens, who, in my opinion, are so much better than the Steelers.
Mason Rudolph and Myles Garrett.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So I think the Browns honestly should win. I don't think that the likelihood of them winning is in their favor necessarily, but I think that they're pretty damn close to winning, in my opinion.
They should
win, I think the Colts should win. 1-14 Jags should never beat them. The Colts still have a pretty good defense.
I actually kind of agree with that. I think of all the teams, the most likely to lose probably is Miami. So I
think that the one thing that will surprise me, though, I don't think the Colts will lose. I don't think the Ravens will lose, and I don't think the Titans will lose. I think the teams that we'll have to look for, though, are the Dolphins and Browns. Because if the Dolphins and Browns both lose, because that's the more likelihood. If the Dolphins will definitely lose, and I think the Browns could lose. of all those teams.
I believe Miami would get the spot in that scenario. I don't know for sure though. It's complicated, so there's no way to know.
I don't know how it goes down, but it I would rather the Browns get that spot, but
okay, so we're like almost just out of time, I believe. So I'll just wrap it up with a quick. Who do you guys think misses on the AFC side out of these 10?
The Dolphins.
So John's saying Miami. I guess I gotta say Miami as well, just based on the fact that they're playing the Bills. That's the toughest matchup of all the teams that are playing. So I'll go with Miami.
Teams have a higher likelihood of winning, in my opinion.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I just think based purely off of matchups and just purely off of matchups, it seems like Dolphins have like one of the hardest games.
Now here's the thing, though, that I'm thinking.
Like a rollover.
Justin did bring this up, and I'm not, sorry for interrupting you, Jerry, but if the Steelers bench their team because they're already locked, are the Bills may bench a couple players. They're already locked.
They haven't announced anything like that, but they might.
So here's the thing: teams like that don't give a shit about what happens in the wild card because they're fine.
That's true.
So that's the thing. We're thinking that the Bills care right now to beat the Dolphins, and they don't.
But but I will you don't know that the Steelers don't want to necessarily beat the Browns still.
Oh no, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that if the Bills if the Bills take people out of their lineup and the Dolphins come to play, the Dolphins definitely will have a high chance of winning.
Yeah.
Well, the Browns just lost to the Jets last weekend when they could have clinched basically if they'd beat the Jets last week, and they lost to the goddamn Jets. So even the Steelers with a bunch of rested players is still going to be a matchup for that.
So again, it's all up for debates. I think if we're looking at teams that have their full lineups, I still think that Dolphins have the toughest lineup, and then the Browns have the next toughest.
Yeah.
Bills, actually, they take some players out. I think that Miami has had a pretty good season. I hate to say it, but they may come out to play.
Real quick before we wrap up, I will say, as bad as this is actually going to hit you all like a truck too, unless you already know this, but I just found this out. As bad as I have felt for Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt too, and just those other guys in Houston that are just miserable right now, I just found out that they don't have their 4th overall pick. The Dolphins have their 4th overall pick. So as bad a year as they're going to be this year, you think when you have a bad season, you're like, fine, it's a terrible year. We're going to get a nice draft pick. They don't even have theirs. It's terrible. It's tragic. I feel so bad for them. I don't know what their plan is.
That's brutal.
I wish Deshaun Watson didn't sign an extension. I feel so bad for him.
Well, you know what? They're just going to have to make moves. I mean, that's at the end of the day.
Tough thing I'm going to have to say, though, is as much as I hate to say it, I think someone that they need to keep, but probably won't be Will Fuller. They got to get something for him.
Yeah,
or he's going to go in free agency
this year.
He'll go in free agency. So they need to get something from him.
Hey, you know what? Pay him. Just pay the man. Pay the man. You have no one else to pay.
You
no
honestly
one else
have
coming to Houston
you
right
gotta
now. Just
pay him. You got to pay him because you're going to get more out of paying him than you are out of trading him or letting him go.
Well, he's unrestricted free agent, so you're going to get nothing for trading him. So you either pay him or you get nothing.
Yeah, if he's unrestricted.
So they got to pay him. No one else is coming to Houston right now, anyways. Give him the money. He's young. Give him the money. Honestly,
pay the man. All right, we'll end right there, guys. It's been a pleasure. We'll come back at you guys next week, and hopefully this playoff picture will be figured out by then. Definitely will be figured out by then. So we'll talk about that and what that looks like. As always, boys, pleasure talking to you.
It's been real, boys.
I'll see you guys next week.
Peace.